Rain, slick, cobblestone streets shimmered under the dim glow of gaslights. The scent of rain-soaked earth and damp stone hung heavy in the air. A lone figure, cloaked in shadows, hurried down a deserted alley. This was Paris, but not the city of love tourists knew. This was the Paris of secrets, hidden beneath a veil of mist and darkness. Isabelle, a young artist with eyes that mirrored the stormy sky, sought refuge in a dimly lit cafe. The warmth inside did little to chase away the chill that had settled deep in her bones. She clutched a worn sketchbook, its pages filled with sketches of haunting beauty, reflections of her soul. Across the cafe, a man sat alone, his face hidden behind a newspaper. But Isabelle could feel his gaze, intense and unwavering. When their eyes finally met, the world seemed to fall silent. His eyes, the color of warm honey, held a depth that both intrigued and unnerved her. He lowered the newspaper, revealing a face that spoke of a life lived on the edge, etched with lines of pain and resilience. He was older, his hair streaked with silver, but there was a magnetism about him that drew her in. "Mademoiselle," he said, his voice a low rumble, "may I offer you a coffee?" His French was accented, hinting at a life lived beyond the borders of France. Isabelle hesitated, her instincts screaming at her to run, but there was something in his eyes, a flicker of vulnerability that mirrored her own. She found herself nodding, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. They talked through the night, sharing stories whispered like confessions. He was a writer, he confessed, his words weaving tales of love and loss, stories that resonated deep within Isabelle's soul. He spoke of faraway lands, of adventures that had tested him, broken him and remade him. With each word, Isabelle felt the walls she had so carefully erected around her heart begin to crumble. His name was Jean-Luc, and he saw through her carefully constructed defenses, straight to the wounded heart she kept hidden from the world. He spoke of her art with a passion that ignited a fire within her, a recognition she craved. In his presence, she felt seen, understood, for perhaps the first time in her life. And as the night deepened, she knew she was falling for him, falling fast and hard. Their love affair unfolded against the backdrop of Paris, its hidden corners becoming their sanctuary. They walked hand in hand along the Seine, its waters reflecting the moonlight like shards of broken glass. They kissed beneath the Eiffel Tower as it glittered, a beacon of hope in the darkness. But even as their love blossomed, a shadow lurked at the edges of their happiness. Jean-Luc was a man haunted by secrets, his past a tangled web of shadows he refused to unravel. He would disappear for days, leaving Isabelle consumed by worry and doubt. When he returned, there would be a haunted look in his eyes, a distance she couldn't bridge. He spoke of enemies, of dangers that lurked in the shadows, but he refused to elaborate. One night, as they lay entwined in each other's arms, Isabelle whispered, "What are you so afraid of?" Jean-Luc tensed, his body suddenly rigid. "I can't tell you," he said, his voice hoarse with unshed tears. "It's too dangerous, I can't risk you!" His words were like a slap in the face. Didn't he know that being with him was already a risk, that her heart was his to break? The next morning, Jean-Luc was gone. He left a note, the words scrawled in his familiar hand, tearing at her soul. "I can't protect you," he wrote. "Forget me. Find happiness elsewhere." The words were a dagger to her heart, each syllable a testament to his love and his fear. Isabelle was devastated, her world shattered. She searched for him, her heart refusing to believe he was truly gone. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Paris, once a city of love, now felt like a cage. Each cobblestone street a reminder of her loss. She poured her grief into her art, her paintings becoming darker, more abstract, reflecting the turmoil within her soul. But even as she tried to move on, the memory of Jean-Luc haunted her, his love a ghost that refused to be laid to rest. One rainy afternoon, as Isabelle stood on the Pont des Arts, the bridge where lovers once fastened padlocks to symbolize their love, she saw him. He was standing across the Seine, his face etched with the same pain and longing she felt. Their eyes met across the water, and in that instant, the months of separation melted away. He was still the same Jean-Luc, the man who had stolen her heart, and she knew with a certainty that defied logic that their love story was far from over.